What's up, everybody? It's Heat Override, and I'm ready to bring the pain for you this week. Yeah, that's right. It's the 300th anniversary show of Bring the Pain. Ooh, yeah. Man, that's crazy, crazy, crazy. What a day going on so far. I mean, it's Memorial Day. So what better day to even record this on? First of all, I want to say, I salute every single one. And if I should not be saying I salute, I thank every single person that has ever put forth their life and their hard work and their dedication for this entire nation to make it better. Thank you. That being said, now it's time to bring the pain. Yeah. Woo. All right. Well, that being said, I was sitting here all day and I had everything done and I did all my podcasts and some articles over the weekend and I saw it was coming up and I was like, oh man, I got to do it today. Today. No reason in particular, just because I had the extra day, because I could get this done in the middle of the day and just things are just going great. So that's what I want to talk about. But first, I want to make sure you get over to my YouTube and get over to my Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker. That's where I get most of my credit for everything I do for all of you, because I know that sometimes the commercials might get a little annoying and things like that, but at the same time, that's what keeps this podcast going. That's what keeps motivating me to motivate all of you. So thank you. I want to make sure that you get over there. I'm on Apple. I'm on Spotify. I'm on iHeart. I'm on Deezer. I'm on Podchaser. I'm on all avenues and YouTube as well, like I just said. So you get a lot of my video content on my YouTube. And I got a Twitch, but that's mostly gaming. So you won't find me too often on there. A couple save video clips, things like that. But yeah, man, I just want to get all that out of the way and all the thank yous to all you pain bringers, because all of you make this possible. The growth that the podcast has received in the last year is amazing. It's more than I could ever ask for. So I just wanted to make sure that I keep giving you guys content and making sure that you're winning money in it for my fantasy football content, that you guys, all in the great positions to win any championship. Of course, that goes for all girls too. Anybody that plays, this is for any human being that plays any sport, right? Or fantasy sport. That is exactly what I try to do this for. Football 1A and baseball 1B. Outside that, you got everybody else on Dr. Roto. That's exactly when I wanted to get all that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I cannot thank you enough. When I did that thank you episode for Germany, it's just because Germany hit so hard, but so many of other nations are out there. I've had listeners from France, Spain, Canada, Brazil, Indonesia, like everywhere, Australia, Iceland. I want to make sure that for every one of you that listen to my podcast, I want to say thank you, because that's what it enables me to get to 300. So that's just what makes it better. And it allows me to connect to people. And I'll get to that at the end of this podcast, because that'll be kind of like the roll call. But all the different podcasts I do, all the collabs I do with all the people I came on, coming up with the hometown series to try to highlight more Erie podcasts and people in the community. And I think I've done a pretty good job. I've got a lot of interviews done in a small amount of time, with the NFL draft happening. Of course, Super Bowl wasn't that far away. Baseball season kicking off, doing a lot of that content as well, too. So that right there makes, it gives me a chance to, when I can do these thank you episodes, that at the same time, that all of you understand that's all for you. This is for you. So, going into it, I always try to think that my podcast has a unique spin to it. Now, when I go total pain bringer and I'm completely off the charts and I barely breathe, that's kind of the guy that, you're that I want to deliver, because nobody does that. And I know that some people, that might not be what they always look for their sports delivery. But the thing is, the madness behind that madness is actually insanely good. And that's what it proved last year when I gave out all of my very contrarian lineups last year, that I only started last year, and it crashed all year. It just showed that you were able to I was able to put all of you pain bringers and everybody else in a good position to make a little bit of money. And you got that for free content, people. That's what we do. That's why I do this. I do this to make sure to just help and to show people different ideals and techniques, and to think about different ways and challenge yourself. Maybe challenge yourself to an IDB contest. Hey, I can help you with that. I was literally helping somebody from last night to today, because trades are coming up, dynasty drafts are happening. people want to move up in drafts. They want to get people like Patrick Queen. So, I'm sitting there trying to help, the person out. And that's because that's content. It's off season and I don't care. It's something to do, talk a little bit about football, stay sharp and do what we talk. So let's just overall, that is great for the growth of Bring the Pain in all the countries, in all sports people that follow it, the media outlets that follow it, my hometown people, the other podcasts that support and follow, and all the hosts that come on. Thank you. I wanted to make sure that all that, and this is why I podcast. Now, with podcasting, you can come, you eat hardships with jobs, life, you can experience death. So, within your communities. So let's just say this, like sometimes, when Bring the Pain first came out, it was a little controversial, and that I actually used to have a lot of, let's say conspiracy theory podcasts, or just different skits where I would take a different direction with a different kind of question. So I would, if there was a thing at work that got brought up, and I thought, I'm a good dude, I'm going to do this, but at the same time, I had other thoughts or something like that. I think that's something that you can discuss on a podcast. And I know that led to a lot of problems with a job, because it's an outlet for talking when you talk. But of course, sometimes people go, well, sir, you have to be responsible for your content. No, actually, I don't. And one of my favorite Locksmiths, albums, he was talking about that. He was talking about how that, he would go to work and to work his 9 to 5 while he's still rapping. But then he had his bosses trying to come down on him about the rap content he was talking about. And for the most part, Locksmith does rap about, you would say it's not so controversial. He has a whole song called America. So, he practically explains that. He has a whole song called Biden versus Trump. So right there, here's your drop. And he kind of talks a lot about that. He calls out Diddy in his things, like he's been doing this for years because he didn't want to be part of that mainstream content, that mainstream hip hop artist that would just taint and destroy his legacy. That's why he has that song Legacy. Go listen to that, Locksmith Legacy. And I bring all this up because this is somebody that's actually talked to me all these years, just like DJ Magic Mike and Simon Shackleton, people that I have a contact with. Even Spice One a few times has sent me an email or talked to me or something like that. So I really respect a lot of that from myself, because that's me extending out as a fan, and none of them have to extend back to me in any way, shape, or form, but they have, because deep down, these people are good people. And that's what I want to say. And that's what I like to surround myself with, and the Bring Pain content. Yes, I can probably say something, a million things that can make someone mad. I mean, you go over to my supporters club, there's a few podcasts I don't think overall will make you mad, because again, that was my opinion. At that time, it was how my job was treating me, how this world was treating everybody, and how it was all tying in. And it wasn't making no sense. It was costing people money, but the bills were still there. So that's the thing is, yeah, people got stimulus, but not everybody did. So that was the thing, you all had to talk about. But then, when you get a community of people together and you experience a death, like my brother passing away, or even my sensei / friend passing away, the outcry that I got from just the video game music community, and that was that was great. And I didn't ask for that. But they went and they listened to those episodes. They listened to and that's more of not their style. But when I did the VGM episode for my brother, they listened to it and they said, hey, that was a really good episode. I loved hearing the stories about your brother and the way you let in with the songs. Like, that's good stuff. That's what I try to do for all of you. And that's the thing that makes Bring the Pain so versatile when you talk about different topics and everything. Like when I weighed in on the Harrison Butker situation and bringing up how he referred to Taylor Swift and how, this creates a little animosity. But in the end, it's just a bunch of rich people, money they can say anything they want. And if the outcry isn't bad, or they aren't damaging too much of their public image or the team's image, then the team's just going to do it. Because really, people do have to understand that people are allowed their opinions. That is why we have these rights in America. Unfortunately, there's not those rights in other countries, and we cannot speak on that. And I don't. That's one thing I do. Maybe I'll bring it up a skit or two or something like that, but that's how it goes. But, when you get all that, and, that's the thing about jobs, is sometimes jobs just don't respect who you are. And it ties in with everything when people go, the job market's dry, the job market's this, but you see the employers aren't giving out raises, aren't dedicating themselves to any employees anymore, because that's the way they live their lives now. That's the way that these jobs are structured now, especially after losing all that money with COVID. And for the ones that were able to prosper, good. That's awesome. I'm happy you did it. Oh, yeah. Bring the Pain to one of those. My podcast started learning and started getting bigger during this time. So, it was a few times that I took a couple seasons off, which I did not this year. I learned my lesson and I lost a lot of my following during those off seasons between football to baseball to take kind of like a backseat and recharge my mind. But I figured when you put enough content out there, when you need a week or two off and you got about a week or so, 10 days between an episode, I think sometimes it's merited, especially how many podcasts I've done in the last year. Going from episode 200 to 300 is amazing. And just to know how much money was won on a lot of those podcasts, how many times somebody could have been, healed from that. I mean, great coffee came from these podcasts. It's just, there's so many different ways it went. When me and Tay covered the feud between, it was just Kendrick Lamar and Drake. It was just like, wow, what's going on? So that again goes back to the versatile. That goes back to trying to extend my thanks to all of you people for listening to all these podcasts. And sometimes you get my crazy things that make me a jerk. You need to go join the supporters club. Yeah, I get it's $2, but you get so much in a month with $2, and you get so many you'll get a lot more edgier content, I should say, coming in the future, because sometimes I have to just kind of keep that on the side. And that's supposed to be the moneymaker. When I have somebody on that I'm going to have to pay for a guest, those are where that's going to be. You're going to be part of that. And you never know what special perks that you can get along the way. I mean, man, I've given out shirts, mugs, stickers, all sorts of stuff, phone cases. Let's go, people. Let's bring the Pain. Yeah. Woo. All right. Now, with all that being together, I wanted to say, again, this all ties in. I get that sometimes going back to it with the jobs that they can come after you. Look, there's a disclaimer. Come and get me. I'm having fun with this and I'm not hurting anybody. And that's how I look at it that way. Look, if a job is willing to come after you that far online, but you're an amazing employee, then maybe they should come after your wage like that. Maybe they should give you that raise like that. Maybe they should give you more money. And this goes for any job that I've ever had. I've worked well above the call of duty for any job. And that's what I'll say, because it's my podcast. It's how I bring the pain, and that's what I do. But at the same time, those same comments could hurt someone's feelings. Well, hey, if the shoe fits, right? Yeah. Woo. All right. Now let's get to it. Articles, podcasts. Thank you. Man, again, the 300th anniversary would not be possible without all these people, especially with Dr. Roto. It all starts, Bring the Pain, 60 seconds. I've given this story out before. I gave it out on my 200. Dr. Roto really allowed me to be able to go mainstream with not only Bring the Pain, but able to learn from the multiple editors that I've been able to work with, along with the amazing staff that has surrounded me at the same time, become friends with them, have beers with them, meet up with them, and just to be able to extend the knowledge and extend just that network myself for me as a person, to have a good conversation, to meet somebody that I've followed on Twitter for 5 or 6 years and called into their show and gave some crazy rant, and that's, again, goes back to the Bring the Pain, the 60 seconds with Doc and Tommy at midnight on Sirius XM Fantasy. And to this day, Bring the Pain still always represents the people, always the low people. That's why when I see, I have other podcasts on and I talk to them, I want that. I want these people. I want to talk to other people so that when I give this information out and that these podcasts hit, that all of you that don't know about things, like say, like the VGM journey when I had Alex on, a lot of you didn't know that. And then you get the next podcast. I'll talk about this in a little bit with Alex, and where we just talk hockey the whole time with you trades, and that's going to lead to a lot more. And so when I do all that, it's just so much fun, and it's a different setup. So you do get my hard hits and cool picks, and you get my delivery, you get me Bringing the Pain, you get me going after Jimmy Garoppolo, even though, he's a Ram now. Gee, okay, thank you, whatever. Anyway, back to it. So that is what. So with all the podcasts that came on Bring the Pain this year, and the people that came on for my hometown series, whether you were in Erie or not in Erie, and your podcast, of course, was a local podcast, I want to say again, thank you. Dr. Roto, the whole network, going to drroto.com and being able, like I said, my writing has completely changed since then. And that has made me a better person. So again, it's more than just fantasy with just Dr. Roto. everything. Again, it went back to just distinguishing and developing good relationships with people in this industry that love the same thing I do. At the same time, working with one of my friends, Dr. Roto, Kick, and Danger, and so many people that I've run into that have helped me develop my skills, own and challenge my skills, challenge me, has just been the best experience, and I couldn't change it. And Bring the Pain wouldn't be anywhere with where it is without them, and of course all of you pain bringers. So let's get to it. Tay, a very blunt sports podcast, man. 2 podcasts down with him. Again, we covered the Drake and Kendrick Lamar battle. We talked about hip hop. We talked about his podcast, what really inspired him. And now it's just been really fun to have that little interaction between me and Tay. He runs a really, really good, strong Facebook group where he always has everything he's posting constantly, once an hour or something like that, just daily topics. That's exactly what he talks about. Develop some game. Who's the best 5? Who's the point guard, Mount Rushmore? You'll find that on a Very Blunt Sports Podcast Facebook page, and he will talk about it with you. He will go into discussions, and everybody on that page, there's never any argument. So again, that's how it all goes back to. It's just like, so when I moved to Alex, a VGM journey, and then the community and the VGM community under his Discord that I've able to get to and outsource to, both talking to Professor Tom, and then of course Martyr was coming on Bring the Pain at the same time, meeting legends, talking to legends that, like I can talk video game music and video game moments and weird moments in video games with these guys. And when I hear their podcast and they bring up these moments, I laugh. I mean, that's part of it. Again, going back to podcasting, relating with people, video games, sports, wrestling, a lot of that just goes down. And that leads me to Barnabas, the host of a VGM journey. He remixes, plays a lot of remixes to video game music. He will play the original sometimes. I know play remixes. I really loved a lot of his interview podcasts too, where he just went around at, say, a VGM expo or a video game expo or just a regular one. And he just asked people their random questions like, hey, what songs do you like? So, I love things like that. And, and then having my buddy Nick on. Nick, he's just a personal guy I met over the years, and he's good. And now he's on TikTok trying to deliver strong messages every single day under Keep Pounding 2024. But he's also been a huge, massive supporter of Bring the Pain, always sharing, always liking, always ready for a conversation because he kind of knows where it goes. And he's one of the guys that has got some stuff, man. And I always got to say that. So thank you, Nick. I want to say thank you, Martyrs and Alex, and of course, Dr. Roto and Tay, but that ain't the list. So this list is actually it. I want to talk about Ryan, Spotlight 814, because again, part of the Hometown series, Ryan handles a lot of like the cultures, the performing arts. He does a lot of acting himself, even through like some of the things that he's went through, personally and physically. All of us at this age, sometimes we just have problems we got to work through. And the thing is, to see him strong and come off of Jesus Christ Superstar, that he was just actually Jesus, that's an amazing role. And unfortunately, I missed it because I'm doing so much with my family and dealing with so much. And sometimes I cannot make that trip, especially far. But one day I'll see him act. You got that. You go get it, Ryan. But thank you. Thank you for coming on Bring the Pain as well, too. And representing the 814 and putting, like you said, that spotlight on all these people that sometimes don't get spotlight. So I want to say thank you for that. And so you could check him out. You could check him out on his Facebook. But then, move along to Chris when I had my coffee guy on. He not only fought for TKO Erie, he also, I buy coffee from him when I want a really good bean that's amazing. And I know it all goes to him. I always get right on that website at Nega's Charm Coffee, and I hit it up. And I thanked him for coming on because we had a wild episode. And what was really good is we have that same kind of energy. So to feed and just to be a host to it, and it takes a lot off of me as a host because then I don't have to talk. I can just be an interviewer, which I don't mind. And that's what I want to provide for all of you at Bring the Pain too. It's more than just me talking. It's also the people and their stories that they share with all of you on Planet Painbringer. Oh yeah. That's how we do it, man. All right, let's move on. Kick, part of the Dr. Roto Network. Also just part of the callers that used to call in. One of the guys that would be behind me on calls on SiriusXM Fantasy and just be like, after I'd be done, he would get on and be like, man, I think they got coffee in Heat's beard tonight or something. What's wrong with Chrissy? What's going on? What is going on in Planet Painbringer that Heat Override is calling in at midnight back in the day when I used to do this, and it has that much energy. I mean, I have a lot of energy, people, and that's kind of the way it is. But man, him coming on and then us doing that whole draft, the whole trade podcast right after I did that trade podcast with Alex. The back to back, day to day. So I was so well versed going into it that I was able to actually keep up with the pro because Kik's one of our pros. He's one of our guys that talks, hockey on the site and gives out the lineups and gives out the daily cheat sheets and everything like that. So again, that's somebody that's on our site that I'm able to talk to. Plus, he loves talking wrestling. And man, we just get to talk about that so much. And I don't think we do enough podcasts that we could just really kick back our feet and talk about wrestling and what we grew up and what our likes and dislikes. Because man, he comes from a different era. He's a little older than me, so he has people that he loves. Like he's not so much a Hogan fan, but he's more like he's the back then fan. Lou Tez, but he knows who he loves. I ain't gonna mention his name though because he trolled me a lot when I got on that. So I want to move along to Jason, one of my guys I used to work with at Next Level Gaming, having that huge Rust Belt Showdown Part 2 this year, an amazing turnout, bigger tournament, second year in a row. Now, he's planning for his third year. He wanted me to get up there, really wanted to get up there and do like live podcasting, but it's just something that sometimes I cannot fit into the schedule with a lot of the sport content and regular content and people that I had lined up for podcasts, plus daily life. Sometimes you got to mow your lawn and trim bushes, people. So it's kind of that. And I want to talk about Anthony Mesler, man, my boy Mez that I met through the Pot of Thunder. Again, going back to the story, we both got on the elevator that day. We were both laughing in a good mood because we were enjoying the same podcast. We didn't even know. And once it got brought up, bam. From there, me and Mez have been friends, have been talking and just did all this stuff. And we have so much more coming. But again, it's all about scheduling. When can he do it? When can I do it? And that's about it. That's what I love about podcasting. There's so much to look forward to, so much healing, so much laughter, so much talk, so much deep thought. That's what I love about this industry. And then, of course, Johnny Danger, a guy that literally puts up a lot of my podcasts, gets text any time of the day, but came to Erie, Pennsylvania on a trip back, home after he was camping. And he was camping with one of his best friends, longest friends of all time. So literally, they're like their buds. They come through. They went to John Wildwood's, that's connected to Erie Brewing right off of Interstate 90 here in Erie, Pennsylvania. And, that's near the Penn State Barron College. And we had some beers together. And I told him he was trying to buy me a beer. And I'm like, Danger, you can't. I'm not letting you buy me a beer. So he did give me some of the pizza. So thank you for that. But I had to buy him some beers because that, for me, the extend to him, what he does, getting my content up along with everybody else's videos up for the site, the things he does for the site behind that a lot of people don't see, because he doesn't do all the podcasts. He does a lot of running behind, and then he goes on podcasts. Of course, he does a lot of the golf podcasts because he pushes that, and that's what he's trying to do. And that's what we talked about when we did our Super Bowl betting show, is we talked about that too. We talked about him just diving in and trying to learn a new DFS sport, a fantasy sport. He doesn't just want to be in one lane, the same way that I've always went into basketball and hockey, but hockey just seems to stick with me more. And because of all these people and because of that and the time, I have interviewed every one of these people have come on Bring the Pain this year. And the best part about that is that all these people have definitely given me and given all of you enough content to make sure that Bring Your Pain steps into the episode 301 and all the way up to 400 and all the way up to 500 and all the way to the moon. Because when you would hit override on Planet Painbringer, you can always count on one thing, and that's that there will be enough energy to shoot this rocket right to where we need to go, because we can always remember to bring the pain to the competition, to life, to fun, bring the love, always be good. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for doing it. I hope you understand why this episode was straight up crazy cool. Now, enjoy your Memorial Day. And don't blow your fingers off, man. I know some of y'all got fireworks, man. Let's be safe. Yeah.